He did, and it was a great way for us to bond because I've never lied to him and I've always tried to teach him to be honest. Welcome back to our channel. In the world of country music, Waylon Jennings was not only a rebellious icon, but also a pioneer who shaped the outlaw country movement. His talent and audacity led to revolutionary changes that shook the music industry to its core. But behind the glory of his fame lay a life full of endless problems and hardships, including troubled marriages and a never-ending battle with addiction to chronic pain forced Waylon Jennings to cut off a part of his body. His life was full of tragedy and pain, but he kept shining, leaving behind a musical legacy that captivated millions of people around the world. What kind of lifestyle caused his body to break down? Did this famous figure's career suffer because of his pain? Let's look into the emotional, tragic, and empowering journey of the artist who changed country music forever. Waylon Jennings. He was born on June 15, 1937, at the J.W. Bittner Farm near Littlefield, Texas. Was the oldest son of Elmar Beatrix Shipley and William Albert Jennings. He grew up in a family of four with three younger brothers named Tommy James, Bo, and Cherry and Comanche, Native American ancestry. The Jennings family heritage was a unique mix of Irish, Dutch, and even Cherokee and Comanche Native American ancestry, though Waylon rarely talked about this part of his background in interviews. His original name, Waylon, came from Waylon Baptist College, now Waylon Baptist University. However, at the suggestion of a Baptist preacher, his mother changed the spelling to Waylon. At first, Waylon didn't like his new name, finding it too countries, but he eventually came around. Embrace it, making it an important part of who he is and what he does for a living. As a child, Waylon's family lived in poverty. His father worked on the Bittner farm before moving the family to Littlefield to run an ice cream shop and work as a truck driver. He was also an amateur musician who played the harmonica and guitar. Waylon's early years were hard. While his peers had a carefree childhood, he had to deal with financial problems and family duties from a young age. Despite these difficulties, Waylon's natural talent shone through from a very young age, and he showed a deep passion for music. Waylon's mother gave him his first guitar when he was 8 years old, and he quickly taught himself how to play it well. He also started hosting a local radio show, which made him a famous young talent in his community. The mix of natural talent and life's harsh realities made Waylon's spirit strong. He dropped out of school early, not because he didn't want to, but because he had to. This hard choice was the start of his inspiring musical journey. Waylon chose to face hardships with a strong passion for music, a force that would later help him. Waylon Jennings started his famous career by winning a talent show on Channel 13 with his version of Hey Joe. He became interested in music early on, and by the time he was 14, he was not only playing the guitar but also hosting his first radio show on KV, which ran for 30 minutes every week. Jennings quickly formed his first band, the Texas Longhorns, which mixed country, bluegrass, and modern styles. Although their performances weren't always well received by local audiences, the early years of his career were full of challenges. After multiple discipline problems, he dropped out of school at 16 and worked at his family's ice cream shop and as a truck driver to make ends meet. But he never gave up on his dream of becoming a musician. It was during a local performance that he met Buddy Holly, the legendary rock and roll icon. Holly quickly saw Jennings's talent and decided to mentor him. Holly was more than just a mentor. He launched Jennings' career by setting up recordings of two songs, Joe Blonde and When Sin Stops, Love Begins, at Norman Petty's studio in Mexico. He also asked Jennings to play bass on the Winter Dance Party tour, which was a rare and important chance for a young artist. Unfortunately, tragedy soon followed. On February 3, 1959, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper died in a plane crash. Jennings, who had given up his seat on the plane to the Big Bore out of kindness, came very close to dying before the plane took off. Holly joked, "I hope your bus freezes," and Jennings replied, "I hope your plane crashes." Holly's remark would stay with him for the rest of his life. DJ at KL and played in small clubs while trying to keep his music career going. Holly's death had a huge impact on him, putting him into a deep state of grief. His work performance suffered, and after being turned down for a raise, he left KLL to work at KDAV, where he didn't make much progress. Despite the terrible loss and many problems he faced, Jennings started to solidify his musical style. He started mixing country rock and roll and bluegrass to make a unique sound, which set him on the path to future success. The tragedy of the plane crash had left him with lifelong guilt, but also fueled his determination. Move forward and build a career that broke all the rules. The 1960s and 1970s were an explosive time in Waylon Jennings' career as he overcame many obstacles to become an unbeatable country music icon. But his path to the top wasn't easy. It was full of conflicts, risks, and bold decisions. Jennings's professional career began when he met Buddy Holly, one of rock and roll's greatest. Holly not only saw Jennings' talent, but also introduced him to the professional music scene, inviting him to join the Winter. During the Dance Party tour, he played bass and learned from one of the best artists of the time, Buddy Holly. However, the tragic plane crash in 1959 that killed Holly left Jennings with lasting pain and a deep sense of guilt. The crash on February 3, 1959, known as the day the music died, was a heartbreaking event in music history and had a profound effect on Jennings' life. At the time, Jennings was playing bass for Buddy Holly during the Winter Dance Party tour, which had a tight schedule and was plagued by bad weather and constant travel. The artists had to deal with freezing temperatures in poorly equipped vehicles. To make things easier and better for their health, Holly booked a small charter plane from Dwyer Flying Service in Clear Lake, Iowa, to take him and his bandmates to their next stop in Moorhead, Minnesota. The four-seater plane was supposed to carry Buddy Holly, Waylon Jennings, and guitarist Tommy Up. But drummer J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson got the flu and needed to avoid the rough bus ride, so Jennings gave Richardson his seat. Meanwhile, Tommy Up lost a coin toss and young artist Richie Valens took the last seat. Before boarding, Holly joked, "I told Richie Valens to..." When Jennings said, "I hope your bus freezes," Jennings answered, "I hope your plane crashes." It was a joke between friends, but it would stay with Jennings for the rest of his life. It happened soon after takeoff at around 1 a.m. The plane crashed into a cornfield near Mason City, Iowa on February 3, 1959, because of bad weather and bad flying conditions. All on board, including Buddy Holly, the famous rock and roll singer Richie Valens, the young star behind the hit song La Bomba, J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, the drummer and entertainer, and Roger Peterson, the pilot for Jennings. The crash not only killed a close friend, but also left him with a psychological burden that he carried with him for the rest of his life. He felt guilty for giving up his seat on the plane and was haunted by the fateful joke he had told Holly. Even though Jennings continued touring with the band after the crash, the tragedy left an indelible emotional scar. In later years, he admitted that the guilt from the crash was one of the things that led him to become addicted to drugs. Not only was the music died a sad event in the history of rock and roll, but it was also a turning point in Waylon Jennings' life that would never be the same again. In the years after Buddy Holly's death, Jennings faced a tough time trying to make it in the music business. He worked as a DJ at several small radio stations and performed in clubs to make ends meet. He also started to develop his own unique sound, a mix of country rock and folk that was both powerful and real. This made him stand out. Jennings' career really took off when he signed with RCA Records in the early 1000s, 960 Essen, and began working with Chad Atkins, who was a big part of the success of many country artists at the time. However, Jennings quickly became unhappy with the strict production methods in Nashville, where producers had too much power and didn't let him be creative as he wanted to. Determined to break free from these restrictions, Jennings became a leading voice of the Outlaw Country movement, a revolution in country music that fought for artistic freedom and rejected traditional norms. Along with artists like Willie Nelson and Tom Paul Glaser, Jennings changed the way people thought about country music. He became a pioneer and a symbol of rebellion and independence. Songs like "Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way?" and "Good-Hearted Woman" cemented his reputation as an artist who wasn't afraid to challenge the system and make music that showed real-life struggles and raw emotions. This was more than just a musical movement. It was a bold statement of change in how country music was made. Jennings reached the peak of his career in Wanted the Outlaws, a collaboration with Willie Nelson, Jesse Cowder, and Tom Paul Glaser, was the first country album to get platinum certification. It also marked the start of a new era for the genre. The success of Wanted the Outlaws not only changed Jennings's career, but it also made the outlaw country movement a cultural phenomenon of the 1970s. Jennings also had many other hits, such as Luckenbach, Texas, Back to the Basics, Of Love, and Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. These songs showed the rough reality of life in the American West and Jennings's emotional storytelling style. His music mixed powerful melodies, a rough voice, and touching lyrics that made a deep connection with audiences. Jennings's success went beyond his solo career. In the 1986, he joined forces with Nelson, Johnny Cash, and Chris Christopherson to form the supergroup The Highwaymen, who had hits like Highwayman. The group gave amazing performances and left an indelible mark on music history. Millions of people around the world loved Jennings' music, and he was also known for his unique performance style. With his famous Fender Telecaster guitar and signature playing style, he created a powerful, dynamic sound that was all his own. His music was not only rebellious, but also deeply personal, telling stories of life, love, and hardship that people could relate to. More than just an artist, Jennings became a huge inspiration for future generations, from the outlaw country movement to his timeless classics. Waylon Jennings' career is a testament to the power of determination and unwavering creativity, which propelled him beyond limitations to become one of the most famous figures in country music history. Waylon Jennings' personal life was just as full of challenges and upheaval. He was married 4 times, and each marriage left an indelible mark on his life. His first marriage to Maxine Lawrence in 1956, when he was only 18, produced 4 children: Terry Vance Jennings, Julie Ray Jennings, and Bobby Jennings. Dean Jennings and Dina Jennings. Terry, the oldest, quit school at age 15 to go on tour with his father, and later became a skilled artist manager. Julie Ray, who was known for being strong-willed and decisive, was the only person in the family who wasn't afraid to confront Waylon when he went astray. Waylon once said that Julie Ray was the only person he truly feared because of how steadfast she was. Sadly, she died of cancer in 2014, leaving behind a lot of sadness. Buddy Holly named his son Dean to honor his father's legacy, while Denna led a private life before. Maxine died in 2015, and even though Waylon loved his kids, his recklessness as a child and the stresses of life caused him and Maxine to divorce in 1962. Waylon then married Lynn Jones and adopted her daughter Tommy Lynn. This marriage lasted 5 years before ending in 1967. His third marriage to Barbara Roode also ended in divorce, adding another chapter of heartbreak. It wasn't until he met Jessie Counter that his life started to change deeply. They got married in 1969 and had a son named Shooter Jennings, who continued his father's musical legacy. With a successful career in outlaw country, Jessie was more than just Waylon's wife. She was also his partner and was there for him in his darkest times, helping him deal with addiction and depression. Jessie also helped him through his battles with diabetes and heart problems, giving him the strength and encouragement he needed to keep going under the pressure of his job and life's demands. Waylon gave in to drug abuse. He started using drugs in the 1970s, thinking they would help him stay awake, but this quickly turned into a 20-year addiction. At its worst, Waylon's cocaine addiction cost him $1,500 a day, which was an astronomical amount at the time. The drug abuse destroyed his health and put his career and family at risk. In 1977, Jennings was arrested in Nashville for drug possession. The incident happened in a recording studio when police raided and found cocaine in his office. This high-stakes situation put Waylon in serious legal danger because he faced serious charges while he was in jail. Waylon skillfully negotiated with his lawyer, taking advantage of mistakes in the arrest process, and he narrowly avoided jail time. Even though he didn't go to jail because the charges were dropped for lack of evidence, the incident hurt his reputation and made many people question the reality behind the country music star's legend. Despite this, Waylon's drug addiction continued to hurt his body and mind. In an interview with CMA Close-Up in 1984, he admitted, "I've done more drugs than anyone you'll ever meet in your life." That same year, he made the life-changing decision to quit drugs without going to rehab. With Jessie's unwavering support, Waylon locked himself up in Arizona and faced the Jessie was there for him through the whole ordeal, not only caring for him but also giving him the emotional strength he needed to get through it. Together they weathered the storm, and Waylon came out of it with renewed resolve, which is a testament to their unbreakable bond and his unbreakable spirit. Waylon Jennings overcame his addiction and reclaimed his life, even though it took a terrible toll on his health. Despite these problems, his persistence and Jessie's unwavering love brought new light to his last years. His story is not only as a testament to the power of love and determination. Jennings's last years were marked by health problems and painful losses. The bad habits he picked up in his youth had lasting effects, presenting one last challenge for the famous artist. In addition to drugs, Jennings smoked heavily for 41 years, averaging 6 packs a day in his later years. This habit severely damaged his health, especially his cardiovascular system. In December 1988, he had triple bypass surgery to fix severe arterial blockages, a wake-up call that made him quit smoking. After the procedure, I had to change my diet, and he admitted that smoking was the cause of my problems. Unfortunately, it was too late. By the early 1990s, Jennings had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a condition that had a huge effect on his body and led to dangerous complications. In December 2001, he had to have his left foot amputated to stop a life-threatening infection caused by the disease's progression. While this decision saved his life, it took away his mobility and independence, doctors told him. Many people thought that Waylon Jennings' performing career was over when he stopped touring to protect his health. In response, he auctioned off a lot of his musical gear. But Jennings wasn't one to give up easily. A year later, even though his health was getting worse, he returned to the stage to perform concerts and continued to share his music with fans. This comeback showed how much he loved music. Waylon Jennings died on February 13, 2002, from complications related to diabetes. He left behind a lasting musical legacy and a powerful message. As a reminder of what can happen when you don't balance your life with the demands of fame, Jennings was often at the center of rumors and fights, adding drama to an already eventful life. He was known for being blunt and uncompromising, and he had complicated relationships with several famous peers, such as Merle Haggard and Hank Williams Jr., even though they both loved country music and helped start the Outlaw Country movement. Their strong personalities and different points of view sometimes led to. Jennings was also famous for defying the Nashville music production system. He spoke out against what he saw as a restrictive environment that stifled an artist's creative freedom. One famous instance is when he walked off stage during a performance, upset with the producer's arrangements. This bold move not only showed how uncompromising he was, but it also solidified his image as an artist who wasn't afraid to stand by his principles, no matter. The rumors about Jennings' career and relationships did not help his image. They didn't overshadow his immense talent. Instead, they brought out the rebellious and brave personality of an artist willing to stand up to anyone or anything to protect his artistic values. Waylon Jennings' story is still a portrait of a strong individuality and a relentless pursuit of authenticity in the face of adversity. He became a cultural icon known for his unique style and unmistakable image. His music had a deeply personal touch, with a strong, rough voice and a unique rhythmic phrasing. Jennings was also praised for his innovative spanky twang guitar style. Jennings played a style of guitar that combined finger picking and flat picking. His signature sound included prominent phaser effects and iconic hammer-on and pull-off riffs that showed his meticulous attention to rhythm and detail. During his career, Jennings often performed with his 1953 Fender Telecaster, which was a gift from the members of his band, the Wailers. The guitar was decorated with black leather engraved with white floral designs, which became a symbol of his identity. He also changed the guitar's setup by lowering the strings to create a unique slap sound. Also, Jennings owned a 1950 Fender Broadcaster, which he gave to guitarist Reggie Young in 1993. The leather coverings for his guitars were made by artisan Terry Lanford, which added to their iconic status in the music world. Jennings's image was just as powerful as his music. With his long hair, full beard, black cowboy hat, and leather vests, he embodied a rough, free-spirited personality that reflected the spirit of the outlaw country movement he pushed. This image wasn't just a personal style, it was a bold statement of artistic freedom. Generations of artists were influenced by Waylon Jennings's unique style and musical legacy. He not only changed country music, but also rock and folk. His family, especially Jesse Coulter and Shooter Jennings, has continued to promote and preserve his legacy, making sure that people today understand how deep his life and career were. Even though Jennings has died, his music, image, and stories from his amazing life live on in the hearts of his fans. His legacy is not only defined by his timeless hits, but also Inspired by his creative spirit and determination to overcome adversity, Waylon Jennings' life is a vivid tapestry woven with deep pain and the radiant brilliance of success. From battling adversity and enduring irreplaceable losses to building an enduring musical legacy, he lived a life full of emotion, challenges, and deep meaning. What are your thoughts on Waylon Jennings' story? How has his image and legacy left a mark on you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss more videos. Even with all of his ups and downs, Waylon Jennings left behind a legacy that we will never forget. See you in the next movie.